When the weather warms up and the sun begins to shine on Copenhagen, there's nothing quite like the way the city's residents embrace it. And there are countless spaces in which they can do so. The city easily keeps up with the demand of thousands of sunbathers, joggers, and bicyclists out to make the most of miles of waterfront promenades, grassy pedestrian zones, and lush green parks. But this isn't just about a sun-starved public. Yes, the Northern European winters are long and cold, and the summer is a happier time. But there's also been a fundamental shift here that has very little to do with weather. This is a population and a city that's become markedly more extrovert in recent years. There's more life on the streets than ever before, and its people are not only more engaged locally, but also eager to show Copenhagen off to the rest of the world. Copenhageners have hit a high point of pride in their city, and it shows. Quality of life in Copenhagen all starts with the kind of intelligent, human-centric urban planning that the city is known for. The pioneering rejection of an automobile-centric development strategy in the 1960s paved the way for the city we see today, where the human scale is cherished and bicycles and pedestrians rule the streets.
Everybody said you are crazy, the business will go broke and nobody will use the street. We are Danes, we are not Italians, forget about walking in the city. But still they did it. And saw right away that people in great numbers started to flock to the city and started to walk instead of driving. So there's been this humanization of the city center. And in the later years, they have expanded this. We have decided that Copenhagen shall be the best city for people in the world.
That's in keeping with a very Danish tradition of democratic design in which things are made to be used and used by everyone. It informs the way this city is evolving as its population grows, in the thought put into spaces for the public to use and enjoy, and in the focus on making it a place where families want to stick around instead of drifting off to the suburbs.
Things are meant to be used, things are meant to be done in the middle of the city, in all aspects of life. This way of thinking, the individual in the middle of it all, or us as people in the middle of it all, gives an enormous quality of life.
Of course, a city doesn't thrive on smart urban planning alone, and with a well-functioning city as their foundation, Copenhageners have been busy building up the softer side, in the form of exports from the cultural to the culinary, attracting increasing attention from the rest of the world. Some years ago, it might have seemed improbable that Copenhagen would become a destination for its food. But it has done so thanks to the rise of Nordic cuisine and a handful of restaurants focusing on fresh, local ingredients that have helped to broadly change attitudes towards food here. That's meant a growing list of great restaurants and cafes around the city.
We're very privileged to live a moment that is fantastic to be in Copenhagen. 10-15 years ago, everybody would consider a good restaurant a French restaurant or Italian restaurant. Nobody thought about it. A local restaurant could be good. This is something that is new in Denmark. For us as cooks, it is really the place to be. I traveled a lot when I was more unexperienced, and now I really realize there's no need to anymore.
Cultural exports too are on the rise, and Copenhageners are producing lots of creative work. Danish film and television have led the charge abroad, but music is making a growing impact as well. On the local level, that's translated to an explosion of festivals across a variety of genres, finding appreciative sellout crowds year-round.
In the past 10 years, the Copenhageners have become more proud of the city. They want to use the city, they want to showcase their city more. Before we felt like it was a nice little spot to live, but we wanted to travel to get the big experiences, and we traveled to get cultural input. But now people actually travel to Copenhagen to get a taste of what is happening, and I think the festival format is a great way of showcasing that.
Jacob Camp has a hand in everything from cafes and hotels to clothing and more. Most of his businesses and his home are all within a few blocks of each other, and the community he's built around them is just one example of the kind of activity this city is now seeing all over. Granola draws a steady crowd for good, simple food and quality coffee. The one-room Central Hotel, soon to open above its also tiny sister cafe, has people lining up to book. While at Solland headquarters, they're busy sewing and planning the new clothing line. That feeling of community is something nearly everyone here talks about, whether it's a new band or a young clothing label. Copenhageners cite a supportive atmosphere for trying something and making it work as a major contributor to their success. There's a do-it-yourself culture across a variety of sectors that's having real results in the form of new, interesting ventures all over the city.
People are really good at helping each other and pushing each other forward, and I think that's a big part that you actually feel that you want to see your friend's business growing also, and you work together to make the best outcome out of what you have in your hands.
The resurgent pride in the city and the motivated generation of young citizens riding on it are nothing but good news for Copenhagen as the city continues to evolve and the population looks toward future challenges. There is still much work being done. New metro lines are being installed and wide swaths of former industrial land are being developed to handle a growing population. But every sign points to the fact that this is a government and a population that's vigilant against urban pitfalls, that knows that even as a city must reinvent itself and find new solutions, it should keep in place the best parts of the fundamental philosophy used to such positive effect thus far.
We are quite far when it comes to urban renewal, and now we tend to focus on the urban space in those areas to ensure that we have still this strong focus on that they are human areas. We would like to ensure that all kinds of citizens can live in Copenhagen. If you're young and a student, if you're a family, and also if you're elderly. Families stay in Copenhagen now. And that is livability, that we can be a city for everyone.
I've had, as a Copenhagener, this funny feeling that every morning when I woke up, I was quite sure that the city was a little bit better than it was yesterday. And I think it's wonderful to live in a city where you can have that feeling.
For Monocle in Copenhagen, I'm Gabriel Lee.